Hello, friends. I am in the workshop this morning and I want to show you a few things about putting holes in boards. I already did a whole 25-minute video before I realized that that was ridiculously long and won't work. So I'm going to use this quick opportunity to be fast and say let you know how I put holes in the boards. Probably already did this with you guys before, but it was on my mind today. So I get them out of the press and cure them. They press long, they cure long, and hang on a second. Yeah, no, it's straight. Because I have a wide angle on here, it makes everything look really distorted and weird. But it's a mental in the membrane. So that I get that out of the press, I shape it, cut it to shape, and take it to the sanding, and do all the sanding of the edges and get everything round and done. So now the board, it has its shape. And the next thing that happens, and I always keep my tails to the right, my nose to the left. I made, this is my tail jig. I made a jig that I can hang right on the board. That gives me the tail. And I made another jig. I've made several of these over the years. That gives me a little notch that fits into my tail jig and gives me the wheelbase. And it has three choices of wheelbase on this one: 14.5, 14.75, and 15. And I get the thing on there like that. Then I take one of these. Do you guys have one of those? These are there. You can get that at Harbor Freight. And I like one that has a lot of stiffness in it. Caliper. Now this is not. We're not going to be measuring and doing math because I don't do math very well. I never did, and I have great respect for people who use math to do woodcraft. I think that's probably the majority of people in woodcraft use a lot of math. And I use math when I build half pipes and stuff, but I've tried these. This is a little bit easier to slip, and this one even easier. So I use a nice stiff one. This was a gift from my good friend Bud Stratford over at Concrete Way magazine. Props. So my goal is to be done in 5 minutes, and I'm already at 2:30. So what happens now is a little bit of a seesaw game. I always center a board where the wheels are going to be, centered over the trucks. Most boards have got some flim flam and shim sham in them. They've got some warp and woof wobble to the make. Most of my boards, but also I would go to your local skate shop, and if you have an eye for this type of thing, you will see every single possible variation and imperfection that you can imagine coming out of CNC shops and shops, no matter what country they come from or where they're from, making a product with this much concave and this much contour. It's very, very difficult. So everything's about splitting differences. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the one side here and you're going to measure to your marking line. So I have balanced marking lines on this. I have a center line and two edge lines that are all equally measured out. So I go and I put that there, I put this here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the difference and move this into place back here until I get this one there, and I'm going to take something round and I'm going to put it right where I measured and create a pivot point. Instead of putting something flat across it or holding it with my hand, make a pivot point here. Then I go to the other side, right where my wheels are going to be, and do the same measuring thing. I go here, and I go there. Oh, I've got to move it quite far. So now I move it. Then I remeasure here, take up the difference. And all you're doing is splitting the difference until you get the same measurement on both sides. I know that might not come through very well. You should explain it to each other in the comments. Somebody knows what I'm trying to say. So once you get your wheels centered up on there, I got this centered, then you come back here and you check, because you've been moving this around. You want to see if that moved around. We create a pivot point, so it should not have moved significantly at all. But one last check over here, and boom, I'm still good. The next move, you're going to be to take one of these guys, $3, $4 over at Harbor Freight. It's a center punch. It's a punch. And you go punch through. So you see I had holes, right? You do that, and the secret is I already did this on both of them. So you go through and you punch all those, and you just hold it down, you know. And then after this, you can remeasure. Here's what you're going to find if you remeasure. You take your caliper, then you're going to measure to your holes, and you're going to find out that your holes are, well, actually, well, they're perfectly centered on that one. I'm surprised, because usually you find that some of your holes are off, but all of these holes were perfectly centered. I'm very glad about that. Sometimes you find out one of your holes is off, and that's because you leaned on the sander maybe a little bit more on one side than the other. Now imagine if you had drilled the holes before you went to the sander, how far off your board could get. Or imagine if the 8-gang drill machine on a CNC arm was off because nobody knew how to maintain it. They just knew how to purchase it and put it at work, and they didn't know it was off until it had made 10,000 mistakes. But I'm at 555. That's the basics of how to throw holes in a board centered. Finish the edge work first, then basic tools. Make yourself one of these bad boys. I guess I should do a video on that someday. Make yourself one of these bad boys. Have one of these on hand, and if you get things measured out right, you always know what your tail is, and on your shape template, you'll know what your nose is. That's my 7-inch nose tool. See that very high-tech tool there? And this should help you out. We'll talk about some other things another time. It's 6.5 minutes, so I didn't make my goal, but I'm really glad that we got to be together for a minute. I don't know who's watching, but I care about making skateboards, and probably in some metaphysical way, I probably care about you too, since we're all humans and we all live down here. So I think you matter. I hope you have a good day, and I hope that skateboarding is a vehicle for you to grow. Catch you soon. Thanks.